10 areas with the most deprived neighbourhoods in England. It's all too easy to think of England as one of the most unequal places, an area with a very wide gap between the haves and have-nots in the Western world. In some areas in England, people are living in extravagance and ostentatious affluence, while in other places they're wallowing in abject poverty. They're in natural or orchestrated deprivation. Here's a video about the top 10 areas with the most deprived neighbourhoods in England. Note that some of these areas don't rank as deprived places when considered as a whole. They may have the best facilities found anywhere in England, yet the same areas have within them the most deprived neighbourhoods in England. What inequality! Imagine finding Liverpool and Manchester on this list with all their fame and glory. The ranking here relies heavily on the comparison of editions of England's Index of Multiple Deprivation, IMD, and the level of subsequent improvements made. 10. Hartlepool. We start with Hartlepool, a large port town in County Durham. This town in northeast England is the largest settlement and administrative centre of the Borough of Hartlepool. Considering Hartlepool's ironworks, shipyards and docks in the Victorian age and the engineering industries that once thrived in the town, having a nuclear power station among its biggest employers, the town shouldn't ordinarily be on this list. But unfortunately, all that is gone and the old dockland is now struggling with unemployment and failing life expectancy. Therefore, economically, Hartlepool is a deprived area and it's pretty hard to get a job there. According to Hartlepool property ownership and rental statistics, the town has a lower rate of home ownership. According to the IMD 2015, Hartlepool ranked as the area with the most deprived neighbourhood in England. The place has an unusually high proportion of children under 16 and 20 living in low-income families. 9. Blackburn with Darwen. We are still here in Lancashire to spotlight the next of the 10 top areas with the most deprived neighbourhoods in England, and the next area is Blackburn with Darwen. The land in Higher Croft, which includes Fishmoor Drive and Manxman Road, make up the top 5 most deprived neighbourhoods of Blackburn. According to the 2019 IMD, Blackburn with Darwen is the 14th out of 317 districts and unitary authorities. Another new survey finds that people living in this unitary authority area in Lancashire that consists of Blackburn and the market town of Darwen and other villages are the most poverty-stricken and deprived in East Lancashire. 8. Burnley. The next is Burnley, a town in Lancashire, 21 miles north of Manchester and 20 miles east of Preston, as one of the areas with the most deprived neighbourhoods in England. The town at the confluence of the River Calder and River Brune. According to more recent statistics, the areas of Burnley with the least deprivation are an area incorporating Brownside, which ranked 27,887 out of the 32,844 in the country, and Cog Lane by the side of Rose Grove and Rossendale Road Industrial Estate. 2 of these areas, Burnley, were ranked 14th and 15th position among the most deprived places. 7. Manchester. You can't ever pardon Manchester with all its fame and global accolades. Perhaps it has given too much attention to its soccer teams and neglected its education. Imagine having some children out of school for 3 years simply because the council can't find them suitable spaces. The prevalence of education deprivations alone in Manchester neighbourhoods qualify the city as one of the areas with the most deprived neighbourhoods in England. The city has as many as 8 areas that consistently remain among the most deprived areas of England for almost 2 decades. The 2019 IMD ranks Manchester 6 out of 326 local authorities in England, where the most deprived scores 1. 6. Birmingham. Birmingham hasn't been able to do anything about its area with the deprivation of children. This inevitability puts this major industrial centre among the top 10 areas with the most deprived neighbourhoods in England. On the average score in all the domains covered by the IMD, Birmingham ranks the 7th most deprived local authority. The most deprived neighbourhoods in Birmingham may heave a sigh of relief after the city has secured $70 million in new funding. The 2015 and 2019 IMD published by the Department for Communities and Local Government indicate that some 40% of Birmingham's population suffers from high levels of deprivation. For instance, the neighbourhood of Short Heath is in 31st place with 280 children deprived. Also, a neighbourhood near the Jewellery Quarter is in 33rd place, having 55 children on the list. Put together, Birmingham has more than 36,600 children aged 0 to 15 in the top 10% of the country's most deprived income-wise. Don't please think about the area north of Druids Lane in Druids Heath, which is the most deprived area of Birmingham. 5. Blackpool. Let's also talk about Blackpool, another top area with the most deprived neighbourhood in England. I couldn't help but wonder why the staple of Northwest beach holidays, shows and tourism could be the most deprived place in Lancashire. Well, further checks revealed that the consensus ranking is correct. The area around Central Drive is the second most deprived neighbourhood in England. What is more, another stat also finds this area having the 14th highest level of child poverty in England. 4. Kingston upon Hull. Now let's shift attention to Kingston upon Hull. According to government official figures, this area, also known as Hull, covering Burret Road, Excelsior Close, Eureka Road, Vincent Road and Washington Road, is one of the top areas with the most deprived neighbourhoods. Those areas of Hull have some of the lowest life expectancies and the highest mortality rates in England. For that reason, you would agree with the statistics ranking the port city in the East Riding of Yorkshire as one of the top 10 areas with the most deprived neighbourhoods. I once ranked with this city on the River Hull among the worst places to live and work in the UK, if you could remember. If not, please try and see that video about the worst places to work and live. 3. Knowsley. The next place on our list of the top 10 areas with the most deprived neighbourhoods in England is Knowsley. Several available statistics agree on one thing about Knowsley. It's one of the most economically deprived areas where it's very hard to get a job. Knowsley has a very high number of residents with academic qualifications below the national average. It's tough for them to get a good job. Their health is also poorer than the national average, according to the residents surveyed, which also suggests a deprivation level. Life expectancies for both sexes are lower than the national average, and 27% of children here live in low-income households. More than 25% of the residents in Knowsley are claiming benefits, including work benefits. 2. Liverpool. The authorities of Liverpool haven't made their city pride of place. It's hard to imagine Liverpool on the list, with more than 4 out of 10 people there living in 10% of most deprived neighbourhoods in England. The situation of Liverpool is actually among what earned England a title as a seriously unequal country. The city, with globally acclaimed thriving soccer team attracting professionals and spectators from the world over, is unbelievably having areas with deprivation strongly associated with poor health outcomes. Aren't there the best of health facilities to cater to the needs of the people attracted by the team? How come there are neighbourhoods such as Toxteth East, Anfield, Toxteth West, Hayworth Street, Queen's Road, all in Liverpool on the list of the most deprived neighbourhoods in the country? 1. Middlesbrough. Just a while ago, I couldn't help it. I just had to include Middlesbrough on the list of the worst places to live and work in England. Many people wonder why this large area in North Yorkshire can't just have neighbourhoods that are as great as its professional football club. I once felt that the media hasn't been fair to Middlesbrough as it always gets bad publicity. However, unbiased consideration of the visible facts on the ground shows that they're simply reporting Middlesbrough's true situations. The residents in this place on the River Tees southern bank need support from the government to turn their fortunes around. Many of them couldn't hold down their jobs because of the worsening mass unemployment. It has the highest proportion of suffering neighbourhoods, such that 49% of its area is classified as deprived. Our findings reveal that these areas with high levels of deprivation did not just get there overnight. They have suffered years of poor government policies, uncontrolled unemployment rates, and lack of funding for long. And as you can see, they are more concentrated in the north of England, where many families are living in poverty. Thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.